the City of Apache Junction Council meeting of December 5th, 2023 to order, and ask everyone to put their cell phones on silent. The invocation be led by Councilman Heck and the pledge by Councilman Solar.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being able to gather together this evening to discuss city business. We ask that you give the staff and council wisdom and clarity in its decision-making. We pray for the family of Sergeant Southard and the 4 other service members who died in the training exercise in the Med. Please give them comfort and peace during this time of grieving. We ask also to watch over the men and women who serve in our military the world over in very uncertain times. Please keep them safe in these turbulent times. We also ask for your blessing on our first responders, including our police and fire departments, along with our EMS personnel. Please keep these brave men and women safe in their duties to protect and care for the residents of this city. Thank you for the honor and privilege we have to serve the residents of this great city. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Wilson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Schroeder.
Present.
Councilmember Cross.
Here.
Councilmember Heck.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Nesser.
Present.
Councilmember Soller.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. As a reminder, all items in the consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If a councilman wishes to remove an item for further discussion, the request must be made prior to approving the consent agenda and will be moved to the new business. Do I have a motion for a consent agenda?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move the agenda be accepted and the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Schroeder.
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser.
Yes.
Councilmember Heck.
Yes.
Councilmember Soller.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cross.
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. I have the honor of doing a condemnation, what a heck of a word, in memorial in honoring Sergeant Andrew Southard. We also have one that was done by the governor in recognition of it as well, and which this one is when I requested our flags be flying at half-staff. In memoriam, Sergeant Andrew Southard. Whereas tonight we recognize a fallen soldier and an Arizona resident, Sergeant Andrew Southard of the U.S. Army Special Forces Elliott Group 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, who was one of the casualties in the November 10th helicopter crash during a training mission in the Mediterranean Sea. And whereas Sergeant Southard was from the City of Apache Junction, a graduate of the Apache Junction High School, and whereas it is essential that we remember all those from our past and present and future for their bravery and sacrifice for the cost of the privilege of the freedoms that we enjoy. And whereas we honor and show our respect to the Southard family and those family and friends who were are victims of this tragedy. And whereas, in the words of Minot Salvage, the brave die never, though they sleep in dust, their courage nerves 1,000 living men. Now, therefore, I, Chip Wilson, the mayor of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, do hereby express our appreciation for Sergeant Andrew Southard's years of dedication service to the United States, and our prayers and condolences to his family. And I signed this on the 6th of December. And we're going to be giving this in a plaque along with some other things as well to his family. And I also have a copy of the one that the governor has signed, which I'm also going to be including in that as well, in a, not a plaque, excuse me, in a folder, in a
Frame.
frame. Yes, thank you. Okay, regional intergovernment meetings, dates from council. Anyone from the council?
Mayor,
Yes.
myself and City Manager Powell attended the Interdisciplinary Science and Technology Building 12 dedication at the ASU Polytech campus down at Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. The new buildings will house and provide training for our students and others to learn how to do these high-tech jobs, which are coming and all through the valley, but especially the East Valley. And hopefully we can glean some of these students for some of the stuff we're going to be having coming in here. But the school has engineering and manufacturing systems plus network systems all involved. So it's going to teach these students real-world education on high-tech stuff so that they can go out and do the jobs that old guys like me and you, Mayor, can't do no more. But it was really exciting, and it was really nice to be down there with the city manager.
Anyone? Yes.
Your Honor. I represent the City Council on the board of GPEC, which is the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. Last week, we had the opportunity to meet with the CEOs of both SRP and APS, our two energy providers in the Greater Phoenix metropolitan area. And the discussion obviously centered around the growing needs, energy needs in the area. Those energy needs are, the growth is substantial, not only because of residential growth, but also the industries coming in and the data centers that are coming with it are requiring a substantial amount of energy. So these gentlemen, they're very much aware of the needs that are going to be required in the coming years, and they're working toward that end. Now, one piece of information I thought was very interesting. The Palo Verde nuclear power plant provides 70% of the carbon-free energy to the Phoenix metropolitan area. So I believe, again, this is now my own personal opinion, that nuclear power is going to have to factor into the way we look at these and trying to meet these energy needs. But these gentlemen they're aware of it, and the companies collectively are looking for the ways that they can meet those energy demands and needs. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I've got a couple of things I wanted to do as well. I attended the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community event, 12% gaming grant process, and honored the people that gave to the Indian community, and as well as all the communities of the area as well. This was done at the Salt River Ball Field along the 101 in Scottsdale, and this is a kind of a quick picture of some of the lights that were being seen. It's the world's largest Christmas light maze. Enchant, and of course the title of this one, The Mischief Elf. And you were supposed to go through the different stops in there and try to find where the elf was at each one of them. And it was a very beautiful light display. I also attended the East Valley Transportation Infrastructure Stakeholders Meeting. Excuse me. Again, we talked about the north-south corridor roadway that ADOT has announced that they have just recommended a number for this whole system of route, which is the 505, which is like the 101 and the 202 and the 303. I don't know where the 404 is.
Somewhere else.
I lost that number, I guess. But at least they now have a number that they're recommending that the board's going to be voting on it. And they're still taking inputs on this roadway. It is something that's, I'm going to say, 10 to 15 years out. So it's going to be some time. And of course, this route's going to be going all the way down from over here all the way down to I-10. They are also having, the discussion was the funding problems that they're having, because they're projecting a $400 million deficit on spending this coming year. So money is going to even play more into this. And that's it for me. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Thank you. I also attended the event for what we had was an activity for kids at Flatiron Park, and of course you saw pictures here of kids playing in the snow. And it was very well attended. There was a lot of families out there with their kids, and of course they had the opportunity to sit with Santa as well. And then after that we went and did the lighting of the Christmas tree. If you haven't seen it, when you leave here tonight, drive by it and take a look at it. And of course, watch out for the stoplight, so you pay attention to it as well. But it is a beautiful tree. It's brand new, so it's changed a lot from what it was in the past. And then after that, we had the light parade, which was, I'm going to say, very well attended by observation, by people, and as well as the whole people that were involved on it. And it was a lot of fun in the aspect on it. And I thank Parks and Rec for putting this all together and overseeing it, and our police department for assisting in not only directing traffic, but afterwards going around and helping clean up the droppings. And then necessarily from droppings from horses, it was droppings of candies and everything else out there as well. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryan Powell, City Manager, and just wanted to add my huge thanks to Parks and Rec, Public Works, and AJPD for a great job on a fully organized and successful event this last weekend. It's becoming quite an event over the years as we've grown. Really excited to have here with us a representative from Resolution Copper, Bryan Seppala. If we can ask him to come on up and share with us a little bit of an update on Resolution Copper. Over the years, this city council and prior city councils have provided letters of support and resolutions for Resolution Copper. Bryan?
Thank you, Bryant. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for the opportunity to come before you tonight and give you a very quick update on the project. I give regards from Vicky, Peacey, our General Manager and Vice President, who is in D.C. actually fighting for our project this week, trying to get some things moving with our congressmen and women. So I am here speaking on her behalf. And for those that I have not met yet, my name is Bryan Seppala. I am the manager of our economic development, social investment, and community engagement work that we do at Resolution Copper. And I've been with the project for over 10 years now. Born and raised in the Copper Corridor, so from the local area, and definitely fight for this project. So again, thanks for the opportunity tonight to speak. I know I met a lot of you guys at the League of Cities that we do our annual lunch at in September, so it was great to give that update then. And unfortunately, we don't have anything new to report on the final environmental impact statement or the land exchange. Nothing has moved since the summer. We're still in this hiatus of waiting for a final impact statement to be republished and or a decision from the Ninth Circuit Court to come out and be ruled on. So we're just kind of in a waiting period for all of that political stuff to happen with the project. So with that being said, it is kind of, and I hate this term, but business as usual with the project in every other aspect. We're still moving forward in a lot of our other permitting, regulatory work and all of our study work to actually go in and study the ore body. We're really maximizing our community partnerships in all of our 7 local communities, with Apache Junction being one of them, as well as 12 Native American tribes. within the state of Arizona. We're really continuing to bump up those partnerships with our communities and our stakeholders. And then, of course, we're operating and maintaining our assets. For those that have been to the site, you know, we have a series of underground shafts and tunnels and head frames. We have to maintain those assets so we can have those for when we actually build the future mine. So a lot of our work and investment is just going into making sure those 7,000-foot shafts don't flood, and we have to keep them in order. So, and what's even you know, more amazing is with that little bit of work that we are doing, and we're not even in construction yet, we still have over 300 employees, which 90% live within 40 miles of the project. So that's what we consider our local workforce, is anything within 40 miles, and that includes the city of Apache Junction. So, you know, we're constantly looking at how we can support the communities with housing and hotels and different things to really spur that local workforce. But you guys in Apache Junction are probably slated to benefit the most from the housing need of our project. As we go into construction, we're gonna see a boom of a few thousand jobs, 2,000 to 3,000 pretty quickly as we build this mine out over the next 5 to 10 years. And it's such an easy commute to go from Apache Junction into Superior. It's less than a half an hour. Pretty much no freeway, no street lights. So all the homes you see going in the early stage of Superstition Vista and what we'll build out, I think is gonna be a huge benefit for our employee base. So we're super excited about that. In terms of local spend and what we're actually spending in the community, you know, again, I listed the things that we're doing as a project. We've invested and spent over $62 million in that 40-mile radius. So in our local communities, over $60 million in the last 2 years. And about $2 million of that has been spent in Apache Junction. One of our fastest growing suppliers is your guys' very own Western Industrial Contracting. They're based in Apache Junction here. And they actually won our Supplier of the Year for 2023 based on their amazing work and their safety record and their commitment to the local community. So if you guys see them around town, give them a pat on the back for the great work that they're doing for us in Superior. I'll just touch on a couple more things, and they're really centered around like our social investment work and how we give back to the communities. I did want to point out that Apache Junction as a city, and also any nonprofit in the city, is eligible for our corporate giving grant program, which is a very easy application we have on our website. And organizations or the city can apply up to twice a year for grants for whatever event or fundraiser or sponsorship, whatever those needs might be. And I'll work with city staff to make sure that you all have the link to that program. It's great, and we're bumping up our budget from $50,000 to $500,000 next year to serve all of our local communities. So we're really gonna try to get out there. In addition to that, we have a couple partnerships that benefit folks in Apache Junction. We have a really good relationship and work that we do with the former CAFA organization, which is now called New Leaf. They do domestic violence programming, so we have a long-term partnership with them to support their work. We do scholarships in the local high schools here in Apache Junction, as well as looking at increasing our support for EVIT as one of our local JTEDs that will support our workforce development needs. We also recently formed partnerships with 3 of our sports teams or institutions in Arizona, which all have an education and STEM component. So we have partnerships with the Arizona Diamondbacks, the ASU Athletics, and the Arizona Coyotes, all with a very core STEM component where they come out to the schools. So hopefully some of that will kind of come out here to Apache Junction as well. And then the work that's real close and near dear to my heart is economic development, what I manage day to day. And you know, workforce development is number one as we prepare for those few thousands of jobs that we're going to see. And so we've invested about $3.5 million in the town of Superior to help build out a workforce development center and a multi-gen center, which I wanted to bring up because I remember when Mayor Mila Bessich came out to tour your guys' multi-gen center as kind of a model for what they wanted to do. So you guys were really the idea generation for what Mila and the town has built there. Since that initial investment, as of last week, we also committed to another $2.2 million for the next 3 years of build-out for the multi-gen and the Workforce Development Center. And we're super excited to say that we're going to have our first welding program kicking off in January with CAC and our other local JTED, which serves Superior, which is out of Globe, Miami. So really cool, exciting things happening. We also have a planned labor agreement with the Arizona Building Trades, which, if you're not familiar with them, they oversee 14 of the union trades in Arizona. everything from electrical, welding, pipe fitting, iron workers, HVAC, and so on. And so we're also going to do a pre-apprenticeship program with them at the Workforce Center to kind of help build those other pipelines that we need. So that kind of covers where we're at. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. And yeah, just again, very grateful to be able to present here in front of you guys tonight. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Don't see any hands coming up. Thank you very much.
I would like to add one more thing, Brian. I get the question a lot, how can you guys support the project as a council body of mayor and council? And really the biggest thing is, when you're out and about at your different events in the community and you see a congressman or a representative or senator, just share your support for the project. That's the biggest thing we can get to get this project across the finish line. So, thank you.
Yep, we've been doing that as well.
Yeah, we have been very solid on that. Thank you for that reminder, Brian.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Brian's been a part of this for over 10 years now, and a big part of helping us understand the big impact. It's great to hear all the economic development that it supports in our city as well. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you.
Your Honor, as I bring up Al, I just remembered one item from this morning with Councilmember Solar and the impact of, in order to get the jobs that's coming and the work that's being going on in Phoenix Mesa Gateway and the industry that's coming, talking about Resolution Copper, the talent workforce development is so important. And with ASU, I was thinking about the CAC event that we had, the $45 million that CAC is putting in our downtown that helps develop talent. So that's one of the greatest parts about this work that's going on that you're a part of, is helping develop the education components to be able to support this type of industry. So anyway, we'll turn it to Al Bravo for community updates.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the city, and just a couple of things to reiterate for you before we're all done here tonight in our section. And on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Department, they did want to thank the community for supporting and coming out to the holiday event on Saturday, and then, of course, taking part, as the mayor said, in the tree lighting as well as the light parade, which was a lot of fun. I hope a lot of people got a chance to do that. So they were even getting ready for it beforehand, because our public works folks, in addition to the police and parks, our public works folks were replacing the lights and the signs right there at the focal point to make sure everybody could see where they were going to be, as our public works folks do so many things around the city. And that reminds me that we do have a couple of road projects going on out there, and a couple of changes that are going on out there. In particular, Idaho, just south of US 60, has been worked on for quite a while. That project is supposed to be completed this week, and then at the end of the week on Friday, they will change the intersection of Basin and Idaho into a three-way stop. It's only three ways, of course, since it does not go farther south than Basin, but it has been in the works for quite some time to turn that intersection into a three-way stop. So that will happen beginning Friday. So this is a reminder that I keep on our homepage a constant updated traffic update story that people can access if you go to the homepage, which of course is apachejunction.az.gov, and I have a story on any kind of traffic updates that are going on, which includes road work, things that are happening on US 60, or things that are happening within the city as we go along. And I try to keep that updated pretty frequently to make sure we're getting the latest on there. So I always tell everybody, make sure you go to the website. A lot of good stuff on there as always. And that is your update for December the 5th, 2023.
Okay, thank you. Public hearings. Continuance of the Series 6 bar liquor license for First Water Cocktail Bar. Jennifer.
Thank you, Your Honor. City Council. As you mentioned, tonight is a continuance of the public hearing that was scheduled for your November 21st council meeting regarding this liquor license application. The reason it was continued were there were some building safety matters that needed to be addressed by the applicant. And I would like to say that the applicant was not able to be here tonight, but his business partner is, so he is here to discuss this with you. City staff also received some new updated information, so they are here this evening to provide that information to you as well. The other item is, before we move to, I would like to address your possible motions tonight. If you decide to deny the liquor license application, you have to say why. What happens after that is then the Department of Liquor License and Control will schedule a board meeting at their level. City staff and the applicant would then go down for that hearing and present their case. City Council can approve the liquor license this evening contingent upon the compliance of the building safety, which means that the city is actually becomes the enforcing agent just to make sure that all the building permits are pulled, that they get their C of O, and of course, you know, they wouldn't be able to serve liquor until they get their C of O. So those are just a couple of things I did want to bring up this evening before you hear from city staff and the applicant. And I think that is everything that I have. So tonight we do need a decision though, because we will be 13 days just short of, or actually, we only have a few more days to make a ruling on this before our 60 days is up.
Okay, who's going to come up first and talk first? City staff?
You might want to have city staff come up first.
Yes, okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rudy Esquivias. I'm the Development Services Director. Basically, Mr. Mayor, we received 2 requests back around the first week of November. One was for the liquor license application. The other one was for a business license application. We had never seen that particular occupancy used as a bar restaurant type of occupancy. So one of our inspectors did kind of a drive-by to see what was going on. We discovered that work was going on inside the building without any permits. So the code officer placed a stop work order on the building and advised the folks who were there, hey, you guys need to apply for a permit. This is, you're changing from one type of occupancy to another, so you need to present plans. And that information was also communicated by the clerk's office, by our code officers, and our building permit techs. And we're still waiting on a plan submittal. There has been communication with the owner. I guess he's had some setbacks with his contractor or architect or possibly both. But basically, we're still waiting for the permit submittal. Zoning-wise, there's not an issue. Okay, the property is zone B1. Bars and restaurants are allowed outright in the B1 zone, so zoning is not an issue. It's the building safety component that needs to be satisfied. If you recommend approval of the liquor license, that's fine. City would still be looking to receive and review the permit application, do the necessary inspections, and grant a change of occupancy permit for the new business. It was a retail site, now it's going to be a bar restaurant, so a change of occupancy is needed. So in effect, I guess we still have some control of when the business moves in there. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Rudy, what is the time frame nowadays for a permit?
Well, this particular request should hopefully not involve a whole lot of work. We need to know what changes they are making to the old retail occupancy. Are they adding more plumbing? Are they adding more sinks? Are they adding more electricity? So in speaking with Adrian, this is something that could be reviewed within a couple of weeks. Now, that's assuming they're not making very extensive changes, just the basic changes to get the new use up and going. So I would estimate a couple of weeks for first review.
Okay, and has any progress been made since the last time we talked about this?
Not that I am aware of, sir.
Okay.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Rudy, I believe I saw in some of the emails back and forth, we are waiting for architectural drawings as well. Is that part of the permitting process?
Yes, sir. It's part of the building
And
permit
as
submittal.
yet, we have not received the architectural.
No,
drawings.
sir.
Okay.
Question, Mayor. So if we would pass this liquor license, you still have control. They can't do anything till they get all their ducks in a row,
Yes, sir.
period,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Is it normal to look to do a license before you know what we're going to actually end up with? Because without the drawings or the permits, it sounds like this is, maybe the license was premature to figuring out what was going in, for sure?
Well, that's
Rudy?
part of the dilemma.
I can answer that. So, Mayor and council members, it is not uncommon for an application to come in for a business before they've even broken ground. Larger cities like Mesa, Tempe, Chandler, you will see applications come in and they haven't even broken ground yet. But usually they have their architectural renderings, their drawings, their building plans, things like that. So it is not uncommon. And again, sir, you'll have your opportunity in just a moment. So you will, like Rudy said, it all still comes down to the city has basically at this point the authority. So until Rudy does the inspections and grants the C of O, a business could have its liquor license and they could hold that license for 12 to 18 months before the building is even built and opened. So they're not serving alcohol, but the city has the control over the certificate of occupancy.
I just have one other question, because unfortunately, I don't know enough about liquor licenses, so I'm just gonna ask this to somebody. So let's say somebody gets their liquor license and they don't complete this, can they turn around and sell that, or does it just die?
So certain licenses, like the quota licenses, they will hang on to those because they're what I call the lottery. If you get chosen to get one, you hang on to that for life. This is a bar 6, which is one that you'd want to, Series 6 bar licenses are the quota license. So, but they have to stay within the county that they're issued. They can go, dormant until it has another location to land. So our Fry's has a couple of different licenses, and they go active and inactive because they don't have a location to land it within Pinal County.
So
If it was a 12, it would die.
okay, so if it was denied, and they didn't get the license, they could still apply for a license later when they're ready, more ready?
Take into consideration that they will be paying the state a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 for this license. They've already paid to be entered into a lottery.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Jennifer, so in essence, if we approve this license and there's a lot of red tape involved converting this place into a bar restaurant, and let's say they find one in Florence that suits them better, they can just go to Florence and with their liquor license.
It sits on a shelf, and basically then they have to apply with Florence to basically transfer that license down to Florence.
Okay, and
So there's still communication with the state liquor board.
thank you. And this one's for Rudy. Is this a campaign your staff wants to take on to basically hold the hand of these people for the next 12 months, 18 months?
We've done it before, Vice Chair.
Well, I'm sure you have, but I mean, you're glutton for punishment, I suppose, right?
Your Honor.
Yes.
So, Rudy, I understand that initially your code enforcement, or I guess code enforcement, recognized that these folks were doing some remodeling or modifications to the physical plant before they ever had a permit.
Correct.
And with the stop work order, they have stopped. They've not tried to kind of keep edging along. They've stopped completely.
We have not seen, our code officer has gone out to do several spot checks, and she has not seen any activity since she posted the stop work order.
Okay, all right. So they've been cooperating with you
Yes, sir.
thus far? Okay.
But have they taken any steps beyond that since these all
That
came
might be a
out?
better question for the applicant. Our understanding is they've had some setbacks with the architect they had hired, I don't know, the electrician, change of personnel. That's what we hear, but perhaps the applicant can relay that side of the story.
Kind of like know what they've done.
Your Honor, so if we approve this liquor license, we're doing nothing different than working with a local business to get them up and running. Just like Jennifer said, if it was a brand-new business that hasn't even built their building, we can still approve the license. That doesn't give them any way to sell beer illegally some way. We're just approving it, but you still control them operating by getting their permits.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Now we bring up the,
Mr. Tolka is here this evening to address the rest of your questions. I believe they did come in and get their business license.
come on up.
Thank you, come on down.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I do want to clarify a couple things because we did submit architectural drawings. They're in there. So I don't know why we don't have them. As far as the next steps and permits, we are waiting for the engineer's stamp. And my partner, who's in my ear right now, who's very familiar with this, has been harassing the engineer daily to get his approval. And they're backed up. We're just waiting for it. As far as the work that's been done in there, it was me sweeping the floors. We have done nothing, just cleaning the place, moving furniture. That was it. The concern was when the fire marshal came in, she saw it was 3 individual suites, 1,000 square foot each. And the owner, and I understand the place has been sitting idle for a while, had removed one of the dividers, which has got no structural impact whatsoever. And that was the genesis of the stop work order. And my partner has been in communication with the city to clarify that and said that was not an issue. But that work had been done long before we ever moved in. I will also add that my partner is a very successful bar operator. He's got Sleepy Whale in Chandler. He's got several restaurants. He's got several restaurants and bars in Phoenix, Spry's, and Gilbert, and a few others. So he's always complied, will always comply. I'm the tax and finance guy, so I'm totally above board with everything. We would never think about cutting any corners. You would never even think about doing any work without a permit. That's a non-option. I can assure you that we're going to go follow everything step by step. But some of the things, as far as timing, is out of our control, especially the engineering part of it. We are waiting for the engineer to give us the approval so we can proceed and start pulling permits. And we have done no structural work. The only thing we have done is we've gone in there, cleaned up the floors a little bit, and that was it. So I just want to clarify those few things.
How large of a venue are you expecting? What do you think your occupancy might be?
Well, theoretically, what we were told by the fire marshal is that it can hold around 150. We hope to do that, but probably it's going to be quite a bit less than that. It's 3,000 square feet.
You're on.
Yes,
You have mentioned about a half dozen other of these bars that he owns. Has he ever had to get engineering drawings for those other places?
All of them.
So what's the hiccup here?
The engineer.
Yeah,
It's a company. He works with the architect. We called the architect.
Same company though? Have you been using the same company
same
for all
company
this?
that we have used, from 10 years ago.
Your
And
Honor,
it should be happening any minute now. I mean, that's what we are told, right? It's a company we have a relationship with. They've done all of our projects, from Phoenix to Chandler to Gilbert to Surprise, and they're assuring us that it's on the docket and they'll take care of it.
Your Honor, if I may, I know Evie spoke with Mr. Evans earlier today, and the engineer ended up with some health issues that has taken him off of this building matter. Very serious health issues. I'm sure his last priority was to contact them.
Your Honor, this would not be a question for the applicant probably, but is there any way that we can verify what he said, that the architectural drawings have been submitted? Is anybody, I realize we may have to bring Rudy back up for that, but I'd like to know if anybody can verify that.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Heck, if we did receive submittal, it was probably an incomplete submittal. We don't start the permit process until a complete submittal is done. Doesn't sound like engineering's been done, so therefore it would not be a complete submittal.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Rudy.
Anything else from anyone else?
Your Honor,
Yes.
after listening to all the different sides of this equation, I don't see any issue with going ahead and issuing the liquor license. They're obviously in the processes of getting their permits. They're going to go through with the project, and I don't really see any need to hold them back and deny them a liquor license that ultimately will produce tax income for our city. That's all I have to say.
Okay,
Your Honor, I just got one more thing to say.
all right.
The only kind of real part of this I take any issue with is 2 weeks ago, where was this, proposal? It was, hey, you guys got to continue this, there's some issues going on, but here we are 2 weeks later, nothing's changed, but now all of a sudden it's, hey, we'll take care of everything. I mean, what's changed in the 2 weeks that that encouraged us to continue this for 2 weeks? But now I'm listening to a completely different side of staff on how to handle the situation. I'm just curious why.
May I answer that? My partner was out of town once again. He travels quite a bit and asked me to attend. And I said, you know what, I'm just a bean counter. I wouldn't know what to say. Do I need to be there? And he said that all of our permits in Phoenix and everywhere else was a yay or nay vote, and it went through without our presence. And I said, well, if you don't need my presence, then why do I need to go? So that's why I didn't show up. Neither of us was there. If I had known that
No,
our
this
presence
really,
was
this really
required,
has
we would
nothing to
definitely-
do with you or your partner. I was curious, because last week when we were here, we had conversations with staff, and they're like, you should continue this because they haven't met any, safety protocols. A lot of things aren't done. It's best to, see what's going to happen within the next 2 weeks and then vote on it again. But I understand that nothing has happened over the past 2 weeks, but yet here we are with a completely different mindset on how to handle the situation. I'm just curious, what changed to make staff be like, no, go ahead and approve it, it's not gonna hurt anything, we'll just take it over from here? So that's all, that's my question. I mean,
That's a question of staff.
I think we did say last time that we could move, we've always known we've had the certificate of occupancy ability to use the building code through the process. I think last time 2 weeks ago, we had hoped that there would be a submittal. We just haven't had the submittal. Our recommendation is the same.
I don't think 2 weeks ago that we heard Jennifer, and I'm not faulting you, I don't think we heard Jennifer say, well, you can issue a liquor license even if the building hasn't even started to be built. That gives it a different perspective of what went from 2 weeks ago, maybe.
no, absolutely, that's part of the dilemma. We've turned a 180 on this situation, and literally nothing has changed since the last time we talked about it. But that's just my concern, that's all.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you. Okay,
Your Honor,
yes,
I'd like to make a motion.
okay.
I move that the application for a Series 6
Oh,
bar.
can we,
Yeah, I think it's
Wait.
a,
we need a public hearing.
Yeah, it's a
Can you
public
open the
hearing.
public hearing?
Okay,
yeah, so
Yeah.
if anyone else wants to speak.
okay. We need a public hearing first. So
All right.
as a public hearing, would anyone like to speak on this item? Yes. Please state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes with a 1-minute warning.
Andre Meek, 1327 South Bel Air here in AJ. Mayor, council,
Just like to point out that Jennifer wasn't here 2 weeks ago. Her substitute was, and so we wouldn't have heard from her anyway. That's all I got to say.
So that's why we didn't know that 2 weeks ago.
Anyone- excuse me. Anyone else like to speak on this item? Yes.
Catherine Meek, 1327 South Bel Air Road. I would just like to say that I'm always interested in checking out the new places to go get food. So I'm intrigued by this. I'm not sure what kind of thing we're going to end up with, but there's always need for more restaurants, not necessarily bars, out here. Thank you.
Anyone else? I don't see any movement, so now can I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the application for a Series 6 bar liquor license for First Water Cocktail Bar located at 1545 West Broadway Avenue, Apache Junction, Arizona, be recommended for approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Soller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Cross?
Yes.
Councilmember Heck?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. So good luck in meeting the requirements. Thank you. Okay. Old business. Done. New business, discussion and regarding the Planning and Zoning Commission and conditional use permits approval. Ms. Tess-Nesser.
Okay. I ask that this be put on the agenda just for us to discuss. I'm not saying it's something that should have to be done. Historically, years ago, it was up to the city council to approve conditional use permits. That was changed in 1990, that the city council gave authority and permission to planning and zoning to approve conditional use permits. The reason I ask that this be placed on the agenda for any thought or discussion is because I think we're a different city than we were 33 years ago. And we're going to become even a different city with all the growth that's coming. And I'm not convinced, after all the years that I was on planning and zoning, that the proper place to give that permission for conditional use permits, because the conditional use permits that we have been dealing with, some of them are really messy. And I think the authority and the responsibility of approving a conditional use permit should be with us, the city council, not a board or commission that is a recommending board or commission. They're appointed people. I'm saying that I don't believe these appointed people should have that authority or responsibility to say how our city should be developing, because I think it's going to become too important, if you will, in the future, depending on how much CUPs are utilized. So if that makes any sense to anybody, that's why I asked this to be placed on the agenda, to see what anybody else thinks about it.
Would you be thinking that the planning and zoning's main purpose on a CUP, would they investigate and recommend to the council what they, like our city manager
Just like
does?
everything else that they do, rezonings and everything else, they do the investigating, they do the research, they do all that work, and then they recommend to city council approval or denial.
So they would still have an extremely important job to do.
Yep.
And then the council would be still keeping the grand scope of what the city plan is in mind
Right.
when they're doing.
Because right now, for these CUPs, and they can be kind of serious, okay? We don't have any say. I don't know if you, me, any of us can, what's the word I want to use? Like if we disagree with it, we can ask that it be put on the agenda, or we can ask to appeal it or whatever. But otherwise, it's one of the few things that it ends with planning and zoning unless somebody appeals it. You know, it just doesn't come to us. And we're the elected officials who should be directing how our city is growing, not a appointed recommending body.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I think the appellate provision is meant for individuals who did not agree with the conditional use permit decision by the Planning and Zoning Division, or I'm sorry, Planning and Zoning Commission. So I'm not sure a council member can direct a member of staff to appeal it. I think that's more of a city manager issue, because you're the appellate board. So it'd be odd for someone to say, hey, I want this to be appealed, and I get to decide the decision. I don't think that can happen or should happen. But if you have the authority and you take it away from planning and zoning and make it a recommendation only, then of course you make the decision. And then if someone doesn't like your decision, they can go to court.
They can always take it to Superior Court now or however, but I still think right now in this part of the process that decision should be on the elected officials, not appointed community members.
I agree.
So do I.
Mayor,
Yes.
I agree with what Tess is proposing.
So,
Your Honor, can I, if I can ask, why did it change? Why did we, in
That was
19?
33 years ago.
Yeah, so 1990
Yes.
was when it was. I was not.
The only person that was here, I think, was Rudy.
And that was just barely.
And he just had started, and I don't know if he knows. But it's a policy matter, you know.
Okay.
There's different thinking on why to do it.
So how would we go about doing anything about that?
If you'd like, you could have the city manager, you don't have to vote, but basically the manager will put it on for direction to staff, and then we will put it on a future agenda, and then the process, Rudy could go into more detail, but it goes back to planning and zoning, because it's a city code change of the zoning ordinance, and then it would come to you. So the Planning and Zoning Commission gets to recommend to you whether they think that's a good idea.
Mayor,
yes.
we were all elected to do a job. This is part of our job. They recommend, we either approve or deny after their recommendations. So I think that the direction should be exactly what the city attorney said.
And Your Honor, maybe when we bring this back for council direction staff, we could ask staff to bring maybe the last 20 decisions of what a CUP is. Because CUPs have traditionally been for maybe temporary uses. Rudy has, reminded me of some of those over the years that, come on up, Rudy. Maybe you could share those types of decisions that have been CUPs, and then most recently are being asked for different CUPs in the downtown, and that may be what triggering in kind of Councilmember Nesser's thinking. Rudy?
Prior to 1988, conditional use permits were called special use permits. And basically, I went back in the logbook. Some of those very early decisions had to do with allowing churches in residential zones, allowing package treatment plants in certain residential projects, allowing medical uses on residential land, those types of things. Maybe compatible, maybe some extra impacts, maybe some neighborhood concerns. Those are the kinds of things that typically rose to the level of a special use permit. In 1988, we renamed them. They were called conditional use permits, but basically they were the same types of uses. Signs, a business wants a sign that's taller, bigger, greater in number, that requires a CUP. Once again, churches, we had a case of a church who wanted to have a 60-foot steeple where normally a 40-foot height was allowed. But in reviewing the logbook, a lot of the CUPs that we have approved or that planning and zoning has approved were allowing cell towers. The dispensaries, the medical marijuana uses went through conditional use permit process. Once again, the large, tall, or extra signs. Market days, we used to do market days in mobile home parks. Those required a conditional use permit process. Commercial horse boarding requires a conditional use permit process. Other outdoor uses and activities, but most recently, which is kind of new to Apache Junction, conditional use permits have also been used to allow multifamily residential in commercial zones. That seems to be the type of request that we are most recently been working on, and that is different. That is different than what we've done before. That is kind of a major land use decision. So you can change, and a conditional use permit process typically is half the time that it takes to process a rezoning. So it was kind of a business-friendly kind of thing to do. These are not great big decisions, so can we expedite those through the CUP process? So we can make the CUP process subject to P&Z recommendation, City Council final decision, or we can surgically look at what are the items that we are now allowing by CUP that maybe should be a P&Z recommendation in the City Council process. So there's a couple of ways to go at it.
Yeah, Your Honor, I would agree with that, because I recall from my planning and zoning days that there were some items that I just would not have thought needed to have City Council weighing in on. However, something like a conditional use permit for a multifamily in commercial, that's a substantial change, and I would agree that would be something I think the City Council needs to be addressed. So if there's a way to restructure or re-examine that to determine what items can lay with the planning and zoning and what items rise to the level of requiring City Council, I would feel that would be.
And that would, and Mr. Mayor, Councilman Heck, that would actually be a change to the commercial zones matrix. If you look at our zoning ordinance in the commercial zones, it lists all the uses that are allowed outright. It says, which uses are not allowed outright, which uses require a conditional use permit, which uses require a CUP. So you change a couple of boxes or change a couple of CUPs to no's, and that once again, you don't have to change the CUP section itself. It's just a matter of revisiting the commercial matrix and figuring out what you want to go through, either a rezoning process or a P&Z and council process.
Okay, so do you want to?
That makes
Sounds
the
like-
most sense, because we got a lot of areas of infill that we have to be looking at, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of mix. So I
And
like
either-
the idea of the different grades of it.
Yeah, either way, whether it's just changing what is a CUP or whether it's city council approval, however it works best for the city, it doesn't matter how it gets there, as long as I primarily am saying that some of these things shouldn't be up to P&Z, who is just a recommending body,
So maybe.
to make the final
so maybe
decision.
we can ask city staff to give us a
Yeah.
couple of options on how to do that.
Right.
We'll bring it back.
Can you
Yeah.
do that, Rudy?
Yes, sir.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we do, and we'll be prepared to do that. I don't know,
Next,
few weeks, month.
yeah.
We have no council meeting in January 1,
Right.
so probably like the second meeting in
January,
July,
yeah.
January.
Okay,
Sounds
right.
good.
Thank you, Rudy.
thank you. Presentation discussion regarding possible consideration of resolution number 23-38 relating to the Superstition flood control basin. Matt?
Mayor and council members, I'll go ahead and ask Emil, our city engineer, up to present this item.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Wilson, Vice Mayor Schroeder, council members. My name is Emil Schmidt. I am the city engineer in the Public Works Department. And before I kick this off real quick, if you'll indulge me for a minute, I am Dutch, and today is December 5th, which is a traditional Dutch Christmas holiday. So I would like to say prettige kerstdagen allemaal. Mogen jullie schoenen gevuld zijn met heerlijke Nederlandse koekjes, snoepjes en lekkernijen, which is Dutch for Merry Christmas, everyone. May your shoes be filled with wonderful Dutch cookies, candies, and treats. And if you wonder why shoes, after the council meeting, you can ask me and I can tell you a little story. But with that, I am here this evening to discuss Resolution 23-38, which is for the Superstition Basin Flood Control Project. And basically, Resolution 2338 is for the city to engage in an intergovernmental agreement with the Pinal County Flood Control District for the Superstition Basin Flood Control Project. And the purpose of the IGA is to outline construction, operation, and maintenance responsibilities for this project and for this structure. So here's an aerial photograph. You'll recognize our City Hall campus in the upper left corner. The roundabout just outside here that ADOT built about three and a half years ago. And I've outlined in blue the Goldfield Wash coming from the top right of the picture, crossing underneath the east side of the roundabout in a 3-barrel pipe culvert, and then continuing flowing in a shotcrete channel that was built with part of the roundabout project, and then connecting back to the natural wash in the bottom left. The Goldfield Wash is an active wash. It contributes to significant sediment transport and sediment deposit in the city west of Idaho Road and through our downtown area. And these sediments that are deposited end up in culvert crossings under roads. They end up on wet crossings over top of the roads. They end up in washes and channels on private property. And it's a problem for maintenance, not only for us as a city, but also for residents and business owners that live downstream from this wash. And because it's a maintenance problem, it does also hamper development and redevelopment of some of these areas in our downtown. So 3 years ago, a little over, well, the beginning of 2020, everyone's favorite year, we partnered with Pinal County Flood Control District to design a basin to reduce the flooding impacting residents and businesses in our downtown area and beyond. And as a result, this is the final design that the engineers have come up with. I've overlaid kind of a snapshot of what the final basin will look like on top of an aerial photograph. It might be a little difficult to make things out, but I think you can recognize the Pinal County complex on the north side of the highway there. And then you'll see this basin. I'd like to describe a couple of key features to the basin. It is a tiered basin, which means there will be multiple levels. The lowest level is on the very west side, and that is where the majority of the water, the storm runoff, will flow, where the sediment is meant to be collected. And in higher intensity storms, when the lower tier fills up, it'll expand into the next tier, and then up, and then into a third tier at the very east end. The reason for that is we wanted to keep for us a future possibility of using some of these tiers, upper tiers, for different purposes besides just retention. We don't have anything planned yet. We've kicked around some ideas, and we wanted to make sure that we've had that included with this project to set ourselves up for future possibilities. You can see at the very kind of a dark line at the bottom, that is a service road for this basin. It will not be a public road. And you'll see a ramp, also a dark line that goes down into the bottom of that very westmost tier, and that's for maintenance access to get equipment in to clean, remove vegetation growth, remove sediment, and so on and so forth. This is a detention basin, which means it does not permanently hold water. It will hold runoff and fill up and overflow into the existing wash as it flows underneath Idaho Road. But what this will do is it'll help contain that sediment in this one area instead of continuing down through all the residential and business areas. And it's easier for for us to get into one area to remove sediment and take care of that, as opposed to barricading roads, cleaning up streets, cleaning out culverts, and things of that nature. This next picture is the same picture essentially, but this is from the approved final plans. It has the final basin on it along with the construction notes. So a little bit about the project schedule, a little bit of a history after the design was completed. So the project was advertised in August 31st of this year. We had a bid opening in October on the 10th. And the lowest bid for the project came in at a little over $3.2 million. Just want to point out a couple of things here. The engineer's cost estimate was $6 million for the project. We had 6 bids that came in. 3 of them were around the $3 million mark. 2 of them were about 5.5, and I believe one was $4.5 million or something. So the low bid, we had several contractors that provided lower bids, which was fortunate for us. Obviously, we were kind of thinking of a doomsday scenario, and we might have to come up with some additional funds. It was going to come in higher than the engineer's estimate, but it didn't. It came in this low. In talking to Ted Wolf, our Public Works Director, we thought, well, with this kind of luck, maybe we need to make a quick trip to Vegas, or maybe get a contractor on board to start digging out our basin for Weeks Wash. We did have a pre-construction meeting a couple weeks ago, November 15th. Started out in offices and went out to the site, walked the site with the contractor, and I think many of you have noticed that the area there has been cleared and grubbed. Recently, that was done independent of this project, but also by the county to address some vegetation and transient issues in there. In the middle of the bullet point list there, we're here this evening looking for a council approval. After this IGA and resolution is approved, it goes back to the Pinal County Flood Control District. They have to go through their board approval process. And they anticipate, after their process is completed, to give the contractor a notice to proceed in January. And there's, per their contract with the contractor, it's a 180-day construction schedule. It doesn't mean that they will use every single one of those 180 days. That's just the time frame that they give to the contractor to complete it. Our goal and the contractor's goal is to have this done prior to the monsoon season of 2024. And the contractor feels very confident in being able to make that deadline. So in the IGA, it lists out city obligations and county flood control obligations. And basically, the city obligations are that we need to reimburse 50% of the cost of the construction, which totals a little over $1.6 million. And we are also going to be responsible for the operation and maintenance of the structure. The county obligations are that they will serve as the project lead. They will construct the project. They will administer the project. And at some point, when the project is substantially completed, they will provide an invoice to the city. And our recommendation is, from the Public Works Department, is that we recommend approval of resolution number 23-38 to enter into this intergovernmental agreement with the Pinal County Flood Control District. I'd be happy to answer any questions or address any comments if there are any.
Questions?
I'm thrilled that the price came down.
Just a comment, this really is going to help a lot, especially with collecting the debris and the sediment, then make it easier for you to get it out. So
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Okay, so we have a motion on that?
Mayor?
Your Honor,
Good.
I move that resolution number 23-38, authorizing the City of Apache Junction to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Pinal County Flood Control District for the Superstition Basin Flood Control Project in the amount of $1,633,005.45 be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Cross?
Yes.
Councilmember Heck?
Yes.
Councilmember Soller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have any direction to staff, and next meeting is going to be, will we have one in December, or is this going to be on to the January?
Your Honor, we have many items, unfortunately or fortunately, depending how you look at it, from city staff that are coming up for December 18th and 19th. We have a
Okay.
CFD item, we have a water board, we have a potential E-session, as well as possible work session and city council.
Okay.
So,
All right, we'll do a call to the public. I would like to remind everyone, the call to the public is a courtesy, is not required by law. Is a time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, and suggestions. Requests to speak forms must have been completed and handed to the city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under the open meeting law, the council cannot engage in a discussion on the issues presented, but may respond to criticism and may direct staff to follow up with the speaker directly or place this matter on a future agenda for a council discussion. There's a 3-minute limit for each speaker. And I have a few here. So, Mr. Schroeder, George Schroeder.
George Schroeder, 2444 West Virginia Street. In light of our recent $20 million temper tantrum, the city and P&Z really failed the public with their cup, okay? That was terrible. Some of it should have just gone to third party right off the bat, and I told City Council, Mr. Shirley, that at the time. Thus, avoiding the issue again of looking at our codes, getting them sorted out, which are illegal, which are conflict of interest, which have nothing to do with the public anymore. You know, you got to do something. Somebody's going to get sued again. FYI, the company that sells those big rubber ducks from Meek's Wash, yeah, they're discontinued. Anyway, so you have some serious problems with some of your city employees. I'm not going to name names, but it's bad. Anybody who would have done some of the stuff that they've done would be fired in jail. You get some really tough decisions to come up this next year. If you're voting for 300,000 homes, you're in the wrong city. People don't want it. Your north-south corridor, so far the DOA, completely DOA. No way to pay for it. Nobody wants it. There's only certain people who want it, and those are the people that have billions to gain by it, which does nothing for you and me. Then the alignment with Mountain View is going to go right up to 88. Absolutely. They planned on it. They will bypass Apache Junction. No reason to stop. We will be nothing but a district of Mesa. If you want that, you're in the wrong city, because nobody else does. So issues are coming up. I'm going to be very forward, very outspoken. Nobody's going to benefit from 300,000 homes. I don't get it. You can't build your way out of this problem. The only ones that are going to benefit is the land trust, and we all know who runs that. Not you, not the governor, not the legislature. There's a way to get rid of it. There's a way to get our money back. They're stealing it, stealing it, stealing it. So it's up to you. I mean, you're supposed to represent the people. You're not representing nobody if you're not getting some of these things done. And if you're gonna vote for something that the people don't want, you're in the wrong place.
Jeremy Jackson.
Mayor, council, thank you so much for giving me time to be able to come up. Guys, thank you so much for spending time sitting in, advocating for us, making sure that the city does what it needs to do for us. You're our voice, and I thank you for that. There's a couple things. One thing that kind of hit us as a family. It's little, nothing really big. But over the few years of dealing with AJ Water, every time that I've called up there, had a concern about either my meter having an issue or otherwise, the first thing they would be almost accusatory and say, hey, check this before we even decide to come and look at our meter. And it's like, okay, I get that. I've been doing plumbing for 20 years. I understand turning ball valves off and checking meters. And I know that not everybody else does that. And I understand that. And I understand whenever they've been sitting up there for hours dealing with disgruntled people with their bills. I get that. But there's a certain amount of decorum, I guess. I mean, as working with the public myself, there's a certain amount of stuff that no matter how much they're screaming at me, I have to go, I hear you. I'm sorry about that. Is there something else we can do for you? Even if it sounds goofy, there's something I have to do. I have to actually empathize to a certain degree with what they're doing. Just recently, after a couple of times of making a phone call, my mother-in-law calls, and she's not very tech savvy. So she tries to go onto the app to pay for the water bill. First time, she did great. The last two times she tried to call in to get it figured out. And the last two times she called in, she had it on speaker so I could actually hear it. And they were like, well, you paid it last month. How come you can't pay it now? And then they hung up on it. And that was it. So, I mean, more of decorum, maybe. Just a little bit. I understand where they're at. I do. People coming up and wanting to holler about a $90 bill or a $100 bill because they've had a toilet run or otherwise. I get it. But thank you, guys.
Thank you. Jim Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'd just like to see if there's any way there could be an investigation done at, I'm Jim Grant at 1363 North Plaza Drive, Lot 21, Husky Hollow Mobile Home Park. With the new ownership of the park in the past 30 months, there have been 3 monthly lot space increases, which amount to every 2 years, if I figured it out right, 92%, almost $100 every 2 years. In addition to that, a year and a half ago, we now have to pay for water, $33.08 a month. That can't be helped. But the new owner has forced out 2 ladies that couldn't afford it on the first rent increase of $100 about 2 years ago after they'd been owned the park for 3 to 6 months. And now I can't see paying 3.5 times what I paid when I bought into the park in May of 2017, paying $900 at the age of 78, and I'm not working anymore. And I just, I think there should be something that's unstoppable freight train. They've increased the rent space next month
10%, which is $40 a month, yet Social Security Administration's only giving me a 3.2% cost of living increase. Gas is up, groceries are up. It's just, I hope to live and die in that park, and I don't see being forced out or kind of being bullied as I feel we are right now. There's 75 to 80 seniors in the park. Probably the average age, I would say, is probably between 72 and 75 between singles and married couples. There's only 2 men, probably around the age of 60. It's a 55 park, of course, senior park, that even work at all. I don't think anyone in the park has IRAs or annuities, and that's just what I'd like to say tonight. If it's an open investigation, I have the phone number of the current property manager. They've changed that, and I could leave that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna Carr?
Donna Carr, Apache Junction resident. I hope you don't plan on putting in a nuclear plant out here in AJ when you talked about the nuclear plant. That nuclear plant actually supplies enough electricity for 14 million homes. And we also sell some of that electric goes towards California, and it also goes up north. So maybe considering the fact that the nuclear plant's in the state of Arizona, maybe we should be keeping that electric and tell them to build their own nuclear plant up in their states instead of using all ours. So, and I'm going to get back on the thing about water. I was reading something the other day. It said that in well water there's fluorine. Fluorine attaches itself to carbon. When you drink that, what happens is it attacks your immune system. So people who have autoimmune diseases, and I know it's going to cost, I think they said something like billions of dollars to keep the numbers down across the whole United States, and probably run about something like 700 million a year after that. But I don't know if that's going to take care of the problem. Because in all actuality, we still end up with microplastics in our rainwater. So for these people who say they have organic gardens, well, it's not really organic if you're coming down with microplastics in the rain, and whatever else is in the rain, like carbon, because all the pollution that's going on. And I think that's another thing that they were talking about, is pollution is really high. And I was told that it's probably all these little dust particles in the air when you see that full layer of purple across the sky. When there's no clouds in the sky, the layer of purple, and then there's the layer of blue. And they could be particles of dust and stuff, but I went into Phoenix the other day, and when I came around the corner, it's like, oh my God, it was like a soot cloud. That's how bad it was. It's like really bad. So I don't know, whatever can be done about problems like that, and please don't pollute our land or our water by putting certain factories or buildings in that will do that. Thanks.
Catherine Meek?
Catherine Meek, 1327 South Bel Air Road, Apache Junction. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I'm mentioning the Superstition Mountain Museum. This weekend, again, we have a Christmas boutique. Mr. and Mrs. Claus will be there from 9 to 1 on Saturday, and then 9 to 3 on Sunday. They're happy to meet with kids of all ages and get their pictures taken with them. We've got a bunch of vendors coming out selling their crafts. I know at least one volunteer also is going to be setting up a table to sell her crafts that she's been doing. We just have a lot of fun. The stamp mill will be running at 11:30 on Saturday in the morning. A good demonstration of the history of the mining industry here in Arizona. And on that note, I'd like to say if we could have a copper mine here I know that we will keep things cleaner than any other country's going to do. And thankfully, we don't do child labor or any of those other questionable practices that we have no control over for getting copper elsewhere. Thank you.
Okay, this one's requested last. Andre Meek.
Hey, got it. You got to clap.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, Council.
You got it right.
Got it right.
There you go.
It's my vote. Tonight, we've covered many subjects, from copper mines to too many houses to dirty water to rent. And many things we don't have any control of. You know, the copper mine, hey, it's great for the economy of the area. We need that. Just, I hope they stay, front and center on the environmental end of it. You hear a lot of stories, but a lot of that's old mines. I've seen, the result of what old mines have done, because they weren't properly taken care of. But the big thing tonight, I think, is the gentleman that came up and talked about the massive rent increases on the elderly people, that fixed income and all that. One set of ladies got booted because they can't afford the rent. So where are they? Are they out here, parked in the street somewhere with their basket? I don't know the answer to that, but some of these takeovers or whatever of trailer parks, buildings, the people come in that buy it, all of a sudden rent's doubling, tripling, people getting booted. Somehow that has to be slowed down. Capitalism at its finest, but sometimes we got to put the capitalism away for a bit and just deal with the human end of it. And so, I don't know that there's anything the council can do about that at all, but, it's been tried many places, rent freezes. Well, look at New York and their, how they had it, if you were rent control, if your family lived there 80 years, you're paying $13 a month, Well, I'm not looking at that, but I am looking at something to slow it down so people have a place to live and not are just thrown out in the street. The elderly, they don't, once they're on a fixed income, tomorrow they get hurt, they're out of money, they're done, and so pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone have any requests for follow-ups?
Mayor,
Yes?
if there's any thing that the city can do as far as looking into some kind of discussion with the trailer park, and maybe there's some grant monies or some federal financial assistance that could be found, because there are a lot of people out there that are running into that scenario, and those are our next people that are going to be out on the street. And it'd be great if we could head that off before they're on the street. So it'd be nice if there's if the city could investigate something. That's it.
We certainly can look at, I'll have Jennifer review, the gentleman left, so Misty can look at grants, but also there's the gentleman requested, and we can look at that. We can look at some more grants. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And also, at least a conversation with AJ Water?
Yes, sir. Well, I will be on that one. Yeah, that's definitely one of those that I need to follow up on, and Matt and I will talk about that tonight, and we'll get with Mike and his team, have Mike review, and certainly that is not living up to our standard.
Okay. I will adjourn our meeting. Thank you.